Hey, welcome everybody. This is Shay and Brenda again, bringing another episode of Wedding Business TV.
Mhm.
And today we want to talk about the huge topic of SEO.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll cover this in what, 10
cover this,
minutes?
yeah, problem. Actually, what we want to do is because it is so big
Yeah.
that we kind of want to break it down into three aspects of SEO, and that would be on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and technical SEO. And I think when most people are working on their own website, all they really think about is the on-page SEO,
Yeah.
which is obviously very important, but you need the others as well. And the on-page SEO, basically, let me break it down, is everything that you can control on your website, on each individual page, the things you can do to optimize those pages for SEO purposes, for Google to index you and for people to find you. The off page are the things that you don't have control over per se. I mean, you don't. It's who links to you, how they link to you, the relevancy of that, and then the technical. You do have control over that, but hence the word technical. It can be very technical to do, so
Yes.
not everyone understands how to do it. So we'll go ahead and get started. Do you want to say anything, Brenda?
Now, I was just going to say with the technical, there's varying degrees on that. This is if you've ever done the mobile friendly test or specifically the page
Yes.
speed, the Google's page speed test, and it spits out a bunch of things that it says you need to fix. Um, Image optimization is one of the things that you can fix, but
You can.
there will be a bunch of other things that you may or may not be able to, just because they're super technical and maybe
You need to hire
beyond
someone to do
beyond
it.
your technical comfort zone, or you may be on a website platform that does not allow you to change those things.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. And we are both WordPress evangelists.
Yes.
And as far as having your own hosting
What a
account
good
where you
word.
do have access to change a lot of these things, but if you are on Weebly or Wix or
One of the many
Squarespace
other
or any of
ones.
those,
Yeah.
for some aspects of the technical, you don't have access to change it because they're not going to allow you to have access to that because it's
So
on their servers.
exactly. So let's go through maybe each of those at a high level. That term, and it might even be your wife that hates this term, the 30,000 foot view.
I don't know if
Is
she
it
hates
her?
it. I
Okay,
don't think so.
it's somebody I was speaking to recently
She
is
hates
feels that it's
synergy
synergy. Yeah, I'm on
and
board with that.
synergize. She can't stand those words.
Somebody was saying to me recently, "Oh, the 30,000 foot view. They don't ever want to hear that term again." In any case, we'll do it at kind of a high level, and then I think over coming episodes, we'll probably dive deep, much more deeply into these individual aspects and how you can work,
Actually, can
work
I
away
say
at them.
something?
Yes.
And I think we will say it again at the end. But as we're going through this, if you guys think of the stuff that you really want to learn more about, or something really hits you, let us know in the comments below, and
Yeah.
that way it'll kind of guide us on more of these
The
talks.
specific topics.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So on-page optimization.
All right, there's several aspects to this. One of them is just your basic URL, and there's two aspects of your URL. There's your, the main URL, which would be like your business name. Like for this, it's weddingbusinesstv.com. So it depends on if you have the keyword in that or not. Most people are going to have their brand in it, and that's great because you want to be branded. What I'm talking about here is what they call the inner URL, which is everything that comes after the .com. So it could be like weddingbusiness.com slash three types of SEO, like what this is going to be about. That snippet or that inner URL actually helps you in SEO because it affects your search
Right.
ranks. If you have your keyword in there, that it helps dramatically. So that's one of the first things. I mean, think about it. When Google's indexing you, they want to know who you are, and what you do, and you have to tell them because they don't always know. And one of the ways that you tell them is how you structure your website and your on-page SEO. And you're telling them that this particular page on my branded website is about, three types of SEO. So if somebody's typing in the search, what are the types of SEO? Hopefully, if there's enough other link juice and all the other factors associated with this, hopefully this will come up. So URL is one of the first things that I look at. Also, meta description, metadata, which is one that we have talked about previously, and that's the titles and descriptions of the page. That helps significantly. Anchor text, and what are anchor texts? Anchor texts are the things that when you click on something and you link to another, and takes you to another page, it's the words that you click on that's highlighted. That's called anchor text, and those are a signal to Google as to what those pages are about. And anchor text can be internal and external. And what I mean by that is the internal is if you click on it, it goes to another internal page of your website. If it's external, it's going to take the person to another website, which could be authoritative or whatever. And those help with SEO. The content, obviously, that's what it's all
Big one.
about.
That's a
What,
biggie.
the content? I
Yes.
mean, that's the bulk of it, and a lot of
Yeah.
these fall within that. But the content, you're going to include the keywords. It's the way you structure it. It's the semantic keywords. It's, do you have an H1? Is there a video on there?
And let,
There's
let me interject to say that if any of these terms, if you're sitting there going, an H1, what the what? We will dive down into this. And this is why I think SEO is so overwhelming for folks, because there are so many components that you could be working on, and there's a new vocabulary that you need to learn.
it.
But I
It
promise
takes
that once you get through that learning curve, it becomes much easier. So,
exactly. And the thing is it's like cooking dinner or a
yeah,
chemistry experiment. There's all kinds of things that you can put together,
yeah.
and you have to know which ones are the most important and how to put them in, and there's ratios and stuff like that. Anyway, so content. Obviously, people are there for your content, so you need to make it readable, informative. Get them to stay on the page as long as you can. And that comes down to engagement, which is part of SEO. What do they do once they get on the page? Are they clicking to go to another page within your website? If they do that, because of an anchor text, and you're driving them deeper into your website, that's a signal to Google that, hey, this website has good content. The people are finding what they want, and they're diving deeper. Another one is sitemaps. Oh wait, let me go back for a second. Engagement. If you want to know the engagement, that's where you go into your Google Analytics, which we've talked about in the past. Go to your Google Analytics, and you can look at each individual page and see how long people are staying on that particular page, seeing what the bounce rate is for that page. You can even see where they're going from that page. Are they going to a different page on your website? Are they leaving? What are they doing? So Google Analytics. I know we've done a webinar on for you on this
Yes,
before,
I
and
may even make that analytics series available again.
it's
Right now
funny.
it's behind a member site, but I don't know. I might open that up
It's
again.
it's funny. Whenever we're talking about all this stuff, it's almost like every one of these Google Analytics comes up.
Yes,
I mean, it's just such an important
it's such an
tool to have.
important piece. And for those of you that are madly scribbling down everything that Shay's saying about the various components, I've just had an idea come to me. Don't worry about scribbling it all down. I think we're going to make a little checklist for you of
Probably a good idea.
what these various components are. So if you're wanting to work on your SEO, you know what the various aspects that you could be looking at.
And remember, this is not every aspect of
No.
on-page SEO. These are some of the main ones. Another one that I like to use are sitemaps.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two types of sitemaps. There's HTML and there's
XML.
XML. And don't freak out, people. HTML is basically for humans to look at. If you ever gone to a website and at the bottom in the footer it says sitemap and you click on it, all it does is it shows all the pages and posts on that website. And this helps Google when they're crawling. So if they go down and they hit sitemap, it'll actually index. It'll crawl all. It's an easy way for them to crawl your website, is what it is. The XML sitemap is basically made for the search engines. And if you have something like Yoast SEO, it automatically creates the XML sitemap. You can also submit a sitemap to your Search Console.
Console. Yeah.
There's another one we need to talk about, which is
Yes.
the Google Search Console.
Yes.
But the HTML sitemaps, if you have WordPress or some other themes, a lot of times they may have a specific page that's for sitemaps. If they don't, and you want to add one, all you got to do is there's all kinds of plugins for WordPress out there for just type in HTML sitemaps, and you can add a sitemap to your website. So
All right, so that is
a
on
lot of
page.
information.
That's a lot of information, and this is why I think a lot of people focus so much on page, because there's tons of things to do as
Yes,
far
and
as
by all
working on your
means,
site.
it's not everything, of
No,
course. But
and
do
it's
you have
always
any?
changing. So,
And that's it. It's constantly, every day it's changing. Do you
yeah.
have anything you want to add to those?
Oh, good heavens! I How important is it in terms of the length of your domain registration? So, for example, if somebody has the option, obviously they can register their domain on a year-to-year basis, but they're also given the option to register it for a much longer period of time. And my what I've been told in the past is that Google may take that as a sign of credibility if your domain is registered for a longer period of time. But I don't know if that's something that is true or if that changes, or what do you know about that one?
I don't know if you can specifically test that theory, but I
Yeah.
will go with. I would actually, I would somewhat agree because first of all, Google looks for signals, and they like brands, and they like if they're going to recommend you, they want to know that you're going to be around for a while.
Right.
So if I buy a domain, I usually purchase it for at least 3 years. If I have the money and I want to do five, I'll do five, but at least for 3 years. And I think that that's a signal to Google that you plan on being in business
For
for a
3 years.
while.
And
Exactly.
domains are not expensive the way they
No, they're
used to be.
not.
I mean, you're looking at $40 so for 3 years.
Exactly.
Gone are the days. I remember back in '99, I think is when I got my first domain. I think it was $150 for a year,
Wow.
something like that. So
We're cheap now.
times have changed.
Yes.
So let's move over to off-page optimization.
All right. Well, off page, I would probably argue is one of the most important parts of SEO. And here's why. Think about it like this: on page you control, off page you don't control. And you're just saying, well, why does that, why is that the most important? Well, you can sit there and scream all day long and jump up and down, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best at what I do, but you're obviously a little biased. Google wants to know also what you're telling Google what you do and who you are. Google kind of takes your reputation as to your off page, who's linking to you, what are the anchor texts to those links. That tells them who you are. If you get a backlink and it's from Rip Off Report and it says worst wedding planner in the world, that's not a good backlink. So
I'm
and
sure nobody watching this has had that happen.
no. So what I'm saying is just like anything else. Put yourself in Google's situation. If you're looking for a particular service, they're all going to tell you they're the best, but you're going to take recommendations, third-party recommendations, and this is what off-page is. It's third-party recommendations. So you need to know you need backlinks. That can be citations. That can be your social media accounts.
And that
They
you
can
do
be
have control over.
that is, I would say, the only real aspect of off page that you do, and it's a good way to get started. Is building up your citations, your social media accounts. Guest blogging is a good one, but obviously you have to have a relationship, and you have to have with the people that have the platform for you to blog on, and then you have to have good content to give them. But they could also link back to you with a no follow link, and what people may not know, and we can talk about this later, is there's two types of links: a follow and a do follow. A follow is good. It means when Google's crawling their website and they hit that link, they're going to follow that link to your website. If they crawl it and it says no follow, they're going to
Dead end.
they know that it's there, but they're not going to follow it. So I think you still get some kind of credit, but you don't get the full credit that you would with a complete follow
Well,
backlink.
I mean, you still get the visibility if from them linking to you
Exactly.
from actual human beings who click on it
Yes.
and come visit you. But as far as the search engines go, you're limited.
Yes. And another big one is the relevancy of the website that's linking to you. Again, if it's rip off report, that's not very relevant to anyone's business because nobody wants to be on there. If you're a wedding planner and you got a mechanic linking to you, that's probably not very relevant. But if you're a wedding planner and you have a link from the knot or from,
Or a wedding
from
photographer.
Style Me Pretty or, something like that,
Right.
Google knows what those websites are about and they can associate their website with your website and then go, okay, this is relevant. So the more relevant of the website that's coming from, the better.
Right.
And again, I'm throwing it in there again, which we talked about, which is the click-through rate and engagement, because that helps no matter what. And that's, if they see, if you write a guest post, or even if you don't write a guest post, but somebody links to you, if they click through, it's just giving you another vote. They voted for you by giving you a link. And now if somebody clicks that link and goes to your website, well, that's just another vote for you because it's increased the engagement and the click-through rate. So does that make
I know.
sense?
It does to me. I'm tired just listening to all of that, and I'm sure a lot of folks are sitting there with a glazed look over their eyes right now.
Yeah.
So don't, if that is you, if you're feeling overwhelmed, again, go get the checklist that we're going to put with this so you can review all of this. And we are going to break each of these down. To do all of this in detail in one session,
Oh
this
my
would,
God.
I mean, it's, you can't. You'd be
We would
here
bore
for
you to
days.
tears.
Oh, you'd be here for weeks. So we're going to try to take it in small chunks, and this is just really an overview so you can get a sense of the scope of this, and why you probably, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by SEO, this is why, because it's an
Yeah.
enormous topic, and this is why there are people like Shay who focus exclusively on this topic because there's so much to learn and it's constantly changing.
And here's one thing I want to say. If you're just starting out and you're, doing SEO for the first time, or if you just say, I need to improve my SEO, don't expect really quick gains. Yes, you may have some depending on where you are. But if you want good, long lasting gains and you invest in good all around SEO, all these aspects, for something to last and to stick, you're probably looking at, 6 months minimum of good every,
Yeah,
in-depth SEO every month for 6 to 9 months
it's a
before
long
you.
game.
Yeah, and used to, you could make a few changes and a month later, you'll move up. But because of the algorithm changes within Google and the things that they're doing, because they're going with, a lot of engagement, as opposed to, so, it used to be like all like keywords and stuff like that. And now that's still a significant part, but it's scaling back and all these other things are coming into play, like the engagement and the click-through rate and what everybody else is saying. So there's a lot to it and it takes time.
So don't beat yourself up if you've been working away at it and you just feel like you're not making the strides that you want to make. If you've been doing this for 3 months, it's just not enough time. You got to keep at it. It is a marathon. This is not a
Yes,
sprint. This is a marathon.
exactly.
Okay, so the third part, because I know we want to keep our segments short and sweet.
Exactly.
The third segment is the technical side.
Technical. And again, you do have some control over this. The reason I didn't say you had full control over it is because most people don't understand how to do it. And I'll
Right.
I'll go through these quickly, and then we'll focus on a couple of them. Mobile friendly is one, which I know we've talked about in the past. That's something you can change. Page speed, which is how fast the page loads when somebody clicks on it, and image optimization, which directly affects page speed, which is what we'll get into here in a minute. And then how well does Google crawl your site? So if you have technical barriers, if you have some kind of barrier that's preventing Google from crawling your site, well, guess what? You're not going to get found because they can't
Yeah.
crawl your site.
That robots TXT file.
Exactly that.
Can you explain what that is really quickly?
You know what? I'm not completely. I know a little bit of what it is. It's from what I understand. It kind of it tells Google where it can crawl on your website and where it can't,
And
and
I've
you can
seen websites that they were wondering why they weren't coming up in the search results at all.
exactly
And there was basically a file there saying, don't follow me, don't crawl me.
because you can direct when Google hits your website, it'll you can direct it to where you want it to
Right.
go, and you can hide page or certain parts of your website. And that's what some people accidentally do is
Well, especially if they're building a new website and it's in the
that's what I was going to
background and they
say.
don't want people to follow it. They don't want Google to crawl the site while it's in development, and then they forget to take
They
that
forget to take it
off.
off. Another thing within WordPress, under the settings, there's a little button you can push that says "Do not crawl this site," which I don't know if that is part of the robots.txt,
No.
but if I'm developing one, a lot of times I'll hit that, or I've done it in the past, and you have to remember to
Hmm.
uncheckmark that before it goes live, otherwise it won't do it. So I think the one thing we really wanted to talk about as far as technical goes is the image optimization, because I think
Right.
that's the one thing that everyone can
Everybody
actually
can do,
control.
regardless of what platform you're using, whether you're on Squarespace or WordPress or Wix or whatever. This is one place that you do have control, and it's something where you can get some pretty quick impact on your page speed
Yes, it
results
is.
by fixing this. So, first thing is to make sure that you're not uploading 300 DPI images. That's going
Yes.
to typically be the default that your camera is taking, is probably 300 DPI. Web resolution is 72 DPI. So you can resave them at a lower resolution. It's still going to look the same on the website, and you don't need to have that higher quality image because you're not going to get any added benefit from it. What it is going to do is it's going to make a much larger file size, which is going to slow down the page loading.
A couple of things I do, and I know we've talked about this, and you can add to it, is one, I look at where the image is going on the page, excuse me, and I specifically size the image
Yes.
for that space. I mean, think about this. If you have an image that's, 4,000 by 3,000 pixels big,
And you need a
large, whatever it is,
thumbnail.
you need a thumbnail every time that somebody clicks that page and loads, and you've got 5 thumbnails up there, all like that. Well, you're trying to cram this huge image into this small space, so it's going to take a longer time to do. Um,
Just because it looks smaller on the screen does
exactly.
not mean that the file is smaller. They're making it smaller for presentation purposes.
Compressing it.
The actual size, but the file size is still enormous, and that's what's having to load. So if you've ever been on a website and you see a little image, and I especially remember this in days gone past when we had very slow connection speeds, and it would start loading the image from the top,
Yes.
and then it would
Yes.
slowly finish loading it. If you have a very large image, it's going to take a while to load that. So, like Shay said, if you know that the space in your portfolio gallery area needs to be, the full size image needs to be 1100 pixels wide, don't put a 5000 pixel size image in there. Make sure it's just 1100 pixels.
Here's my very unscientific way of doing that. I literally, when I'm building or I'm getting ready to add an image, I will look where I want it to be, and I take a tape measure and I put it up to the screen, and I say in my mind, I don't know how I figured this out. 1 inch is about equal to 100 pixels.
Or you could just open up your image in a photo solution like Photoshop or Preview. You can resize them in Preview if you have
No, no,
Mac,
no.
and
I'm just saying that's how I figured out how
that's how
big
you
the
figured
space
out.
is that I'm putting it
Okay.
in. And then once I figure that out, I'll upload it to like Pixlr and change it or whatever. So I do, and I'll crop it if I need to crop it. It's working.
Or if you've got somebody building your website, ask them how big it needs to be.
Right.
So,
That's the best way of doing it.
and then the other thing to keep in mind is don't upload. You want to make sure that the format that you're uploading is a JPEG.
Yes.
Don't be trying to upload a TIFF
No.
file or
Or a
there are
ping.
or a ping. If your image says .png, you do not want to use that format. You need to save it as a JPG
Yeah.
because the JPEGs are a compressed format, and you're going to otherwise have enormous images. And I know that Shay, you and I have been looking at one website in particular lately where it's the slider images on the homepage are all these .png
Yeah.
files, and that's what, when you run that website through Google's page speed test tool, it keeps coming back saying you need to optimize these images, and that's it. Otherwise, the
Hmm.
file size was right. I mean, the dimensions, the pixel size was right, but it's just the wrong file type.
Yeah.
So you need to look at your file resolution, your file size, and your file type.
And what I do is I use a plugin on WordPress called
Mm-hmm.
EWWU Image Optimizer. And what it does is I set it to where every time I upload a new image, it will compress it and it will strip out any of that data that you don't need. Because what a lot of people don't realize, other than mainly photographers, is when they take a picture, it puts a lot of data on there, like where the
Mm-hmm.
picture was taken, when it was taken, all kinds of stuff. So this actually strips out a lot of that. So it speeds it up that way. Um, and compresses it. But here's the great thing I like about that one is, and a lot of people are probably saying, "Oh my God, I've got 1,000 images and half of them are PNG." Well, this actually has a thing within the plugin to where you can go and you can convert it automatically from a PNG to a JPEG, so you don't have to upload those pictures again as a JPEG. You can
Uh,
literally go into your images and click a button and it'll convert them.
Not going to work if you're on Squarespace or a site builder like that. And
Yes,
and I will say, if you have 1,000 images on your website, you need to ask yourself why.
exactly.
That may be another
Go to better
conversation.
hosting to begin
Yes,
with.
hosting. So I think the image optimization, that's one that everybody can do regardless of the platform that you're on, is
I,
just
th-
take another look at those images.
I think there's another plugin called Lazy Load. Have you seen
I
that?
haven't looked into that one, but I think you and I have talked about that one
Yes,
before.
I'm getting ready to start using it on some. I noticed it on a lot of websites now. And what lazy load is let's say you go to the page and you have 10 images on your webs on that
Loads the
particular
first ones
page,
first.
as opposed to trying to load all of them at once. It only loads the first one, and as the people scroll down, it only loads the pictures as they come into view. So it saves time.
It's basically staying one step ahead of you
Exactly.
as opposed to trying
Exactly.
to do it all at once. I think we're going to wrap it up there because I'm watching the time on this one, and I know that
Yes.
was an enormous amount of information, but we are going to do a checklist so you can kind of see what those different components are. It's not going to be an exhaustive list of
No.
everything related to SEO. I mean, it's constantly changing, and we're not going to cover every last little minutia of what goes into SEO. We don't even know everything that they are looking at.
No.
But it'll give you some of the key things that you can spend some time looking into. And we're going to dive into more detail into, not all of those things that Shay mentioned, but some of the ones that you have more control over yourself and you may be more interested in doing. But like Shay mentioned, if there is one of the things that he mentioned that you are particularly interested in, if you want to know more about image optimization, if you want to know more about
On page.
on page in particular, let us know which areas you have questions around or you are confused around or just that you've never heard of and you want to know more about. And we will spend some time diving into each of those various components in a lot more detail. So anything you want to add before we wrap this up?
Nope. I think that's good.
Yeah, everybody's thinking, no, don't
I'm
give me any
exhausted
more.
after that.
Yeah, I can see the beads of sweat.
It's even though I do this every day, it's still mentally exhausting.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there and stay tuned for a future episode when we will start diving into some of these in a little more detail in the coming days. So,
Sweet.
see ya.
See ya.